Hi, welcome back. In this segment, I'll offer a brief history of the political parties in America. One subtitle could be How the Party of Lincoln Became the Party of the Proud Boys. Another subtitle could be How the Party of the Confederacy Came to Embrace Civil Rights. The Democratic Party formed while George Washington was still president. Initially, it was called the Democratic Republicans, but you probably know that because you saw Hamilton. If you saw Hamilton, you also know that Hamilton's party was the liberal Federalist Party, and Jefferson's party was the slave-owning Democratic Republican Party. What you don't know from the musical, because it ends when Hamilton dies, is that after Hamilton died, his Federalist Party imploded. I won't go into why, because I promised to keep these short, but if you really want to know, I'll tell you later. In a nutshell, the slave owners sort of won out here. Okay, so I'll skip to the Civil War. The Democratic Republican Party was by then simply called the Democratic Party. It was the pro-slavery party of the Confederacy and agricultural America. The Democrats wanted a limited federal government because they knew the North, if given the chance, would end slavery. So Democrats vetoed federal funds for things like canals and highways and other infrastructure because they understood that such infrastructure would strengthen the industrial North. In 1855, the Republican Party, also called the Freedom Party, was born as an anti-slavery, pro-industry, pro-federal government party. Its anti-slavery stance made it pro-labor and pro-civil rights. Well, actually, as pro-labor as anyone was back then. So after the Civil War and the crushing defeat of the South, the Republicans had the power to pass pro-industry legislation, including the building of infrastructure. Now, Republicans, by the way, gave us our first income tax. So as a result of the building of infrastructure, the Industrial Revolution boomed. Now, the nation's wealthiest and most powerful people were no longer plantation owners. Now they were the railroad and business tycoons. So at the beginning of the 20th century, the Republican Party split into two factions, the conservative pro-industry part and the liberal civil rights part. By the 20s, the pro-industry part took control. Republicans dropped racial equality and labor issues from its platform and became the party of business. The Democratic base at the time consisted of Southern whites and agricultural America, and also factory workers. So neither party, though, championed racial equality. So this ushered in a long period of relative harmony between the parties. The two parties respected each other's differences because they weren't that different. Both parties were basically ruled by white men. So President Harding, a Republican in the 1920s, deregulated business and repealed taxes. Money flowed into the pockets of business tycoons. Unregulated banks freely lent too much money. This was the age of business. Meanwhile, laborers worked long hours in dangerous jobs at poverty wages. Then in 1929, it all came crashing down. First the market crashed, and then came the Great Depression. Enter, stage left, Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his pro-labor New Deal. Now, Roosevelt drew blacks into the Democratic coalition because they liked his pro-labor stance. Republicans who used to want a strong federal government now pushed back against Franklin Delano Roosevelt's expansion of the federal government through the New Deal. They now had the infrastructure they needed, and they didn't want labor rights. Okay, so the modern civil rights movement, again, radically expanded the federal government, giving us the Voter Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. So libertarians, who don't want any government regulations, white supremacists, and the party of business found themselves with a common goal, which was to dismantle the federal government. For some, the ideal is to return to the 1920s, the age of business. Others want to go back even farther. Now, white evangelicals used to be mostly Democratic, and they had their own reasons for wanting to oppose a strong federal government. They think that problem solving should be left to the church. So white evangelicals were also now drawn into the Republican Party. So Nixon and Reagan actively lured white Southerners and rural Democrats to the Republican Party. Nixon talked about being tough on crime, which was code for putting black men in jail. Reagan talked about welfare queens, cynically playing into very ugly stereotypes of black women. The divide stopped being North versus South and became urban versus rural. And here we are. So the question is America for the first time in our history on the cusp of a true representative democracy with all adults included in we the people? Or are we on the verge of an autocratic takeover? The answer is both, because one caused the other. Because the modern civil rights movement and modern women's movement brought us to the threshold of a true democracy, the reactionaries are pushing back hard. So I'm going to wrap this one up, and next time I plan to talk about what political psychologists call the authoritarian personality. I hope you'll join me. Thank you.